What's up, everybody? A Ward here, and I'm here to let you know that the A Ward Show is now officially brought to you by the Ripple to Wave Foundation, where they're manifesting waves of impact, one ripple at a time. Ripple to Wave empowers volunteers to create real change, from mentoring youth and protecting the environment to supporting those people in need. That includes seniors, veterans, and even animals. Yes, even animals. Every project is a chance to make your ripple in the community, and together, those ripples form waves of impact. The team at Ripple to Wave stays active with projects and events just about every weekend, and they're growing fast. Their Albuquerque, New Mexico team just launched their first project, and they're only getting started since their official launch on June 2nd of 2025. Get involved, volunteer, and learn more at rippletowavefoundation.org. That's Ripple, the number 2, wavefoundation.org. Follow them on all their socials at Ripple, the number 2, Wave Foundation on Instagram and Facebook, and subscribe to them on YouTube. Together, let's make some waves. What's up, everybody? Welcome back, or welcome in to the A Ward Show. I'm your host and curator and engineer. I'm all the things. I am A Ward, and I thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of me just talking my ish about the stuff that I want to talk about. Make sure you guys subscribe, like, comment, share, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell their mama, their grandmama, and their cousins and them. Pull up on the A Ward Show, hit that link tree, subscribe, follow all my socials, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all the good stuff. Make sure you guys pull up, hit that link tree. Make sure you guys pull up and on all my partners, Ripple to Wave, A Dot, who does the intro, my man Lost Perception, who does the What You Heard music. Quick point of order here. I'm going to be changing some of the functionality of the show. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn the TV off the segment, and we're going to take What You Heard the segment, and even the narrative, we're going to sprinkle them into a couple more days. So starting within the next couple weeks, as I figure out how I'm going to actually structure it, we'll have What You Heard Wednesdays. We'll have probably turn the TV off Thursdays or Fridays. And then that way we can just talk about sports on Yo No Say Nada on that segment of this show. And then we can talk about music on a different day, and we can talk about movies, entertainment on a separate day. Just to kind of shorten the show a little bit, make it a little bit more accessible and more palatable for the people out in the streets. For those who are not able to watch, for those that are listening or would like to listen, I am on your favorite podcast audio sharing platforms. I'm on iHeart. I'm on Spotify. I'm on Apple Podcasts and many, many more. If I'm not there, let me know, as I always say, and I'm pulling up. But y'all know me, man. I love to talk about some sports. And there was no shortage of great, fantastic, if you will, football this past week. And I'm shooting this on Tuesday. What is today's date? January 20th. So, was able to see all the playoff games, was able to see the college football championship, the Natty, and that's where we're going to start. So let's start off with my favorite segment, where I talk about sports, but I probably don't know what the hell I'm talking about. This is Yo No Say Nada. All right, like I said, let's start off with the national championship college football that featured two teams that I don't know if everybody expected outside of these two teams for them to be in there at the beginning of the year, but they were in there. And Indiana and Miami put on a hell of a show for the national championship. I originally had predicted the previous episode, for the score to be 28-17 Indiana. And the score was a little bit close to that. It was 27-21 Indiana. But man, was this a game. This is what college football wanted when it wanted the playoff system, when it wanted, when they changed a lot of the stuff, in the playoffs. And look, there was some issues about who got in and who didn't get in, and that is what it is. But man, I do believe that this year we got, if not the two best teams, two of the best teams in there. And 10th ranked Miami and number 1 ranked Indiana. And out the gate, Miami was on that ass. No pause, press play. They came out and they were dominant early on defense. And that's what I wanted to see as far as the matchup between Indiana, Miami, was this fantastic, incredible defense that, like I had said before, reminded me a lot of the Texans defense in the NFL. I mean, it was just like they had guys everywhere. And they were without, one of their best corners in the first half due to a targeting call in the previous game. And I was really I wanted to see how that would play itself out, but it really didn't matter, man. Miami brought pressure out the gate. They were able to kind of contain Indiana early. Indiana couldn't really get going. It seemed that Indiana was playing a different style of offense early, where typically they like to throw outside. They like to, get these guys by the sidelines, get them in space, and then try to run up the middle. Some of their early pass attempts were, I think they were looking for bigger plays down the middle of the field. Maybe there was something that they saw that they wanted to try to attack early, and it just wasn't working. And I wanted to see how Fernando Mendoza was going to respond and play against a defense that's as close to the NFL that as you would see in college. And he was on display in the second half of this game. But like I said, Miami dominated early. Both defenses were really on display for Indiana as well. Like this was a struggle for both teams. Indiana scored a field goal fairly early, and then it was 3-0 for a long time. And Miami started to get it going offensively, and it kind of felt like Miami was really in control of this game for the first half, even though they weren't scoring a lot. They weren't scoring, but Tony for Miami and Fletcher Jr. for Miami had some really big plays in the first half. They just couldn't get to the red zone or get in the end zone. And you're like, okay, they're going to break something open here at some point. And the way they use Tony, I said this on Threads, and I said this on TikTok. Like, Fletcher and Tony are going to change, maybe not astronomically, but they are going to be super beneficial for an NFL franchise within the next few years. Like, we will be talking about them on Sundays, on Mondays, and on Thursdays. Fletcher's is a big running back, big play running back, and Tony, he's that new age receiver. He's that JSN style. He's that Puka Nacua style where you can move them around the field. You can use them in the run game. Deebo Samuel-ish, right? Not as Deebo Samuel's more built like a running back in a sense. Plays wide receiver. But, that's what you're seeing now is like the hybrid running back, hybrid receiver where they're able to move them all around the field. Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? So Tony was just getting busy, man, and they use him in the run game, use him in the short pass game. got him out in the open space, and he was cooking. And so was Fletcher. Now, there was the incident with Fletcher at the end of the game where he threw a punch at one of the Indiana players. I mean, not the best look, but, emotions are high. These are still kids at the end of the day. They're young men, but they're still young, and emotions are high. It's a national championship, and they fought their ass off. But what was really, there was two big turning points in this game when it came for Indiana, and it was the punt block. When they blocked that punt and scored the touchdown on the block punt, I was like, oh, that's the thing that broke the levee, because it was really, really stagnant for both offenses. And that was the thing that was like, okay, you look at the score, 27-21, that was the difference maker. I thought a turnover was going to be huge for either team, and that was the turnover that really broke this game open and put Indiana ahead. But Miami fought. Like I said, Fletcher went off, Tony went off, and they really balled and kept this thing pretty close in the third going into the fourth quarter. Now, we'll go back to a couple of episodes ago, and then last episode, where this Mendoza conversation has been heating up. Tom Brady was at the game. For those that don't know, Tom Brady is a minority owner of the Raiders, and he was at the game. He was trying to say, hey, man, is this, maybe he's already made his decision, and he just wanted to pull up and be like, yeah, man, yeah, that's the number one pick for sure. And I had said before, I wasn't sure about Fernando Mendoza, and he made me a lot more sure of him in the previous game against Oregon. And I am really sure that if the Raiders pick him, it's a solid pick at this point. His fourth down conversion touchdown run, where, I mean, all night, he was under siege all night. And there, a lot of people talked about the non-call that could have been roughing the passer, or could have been a targeting call, where he got hit early in the game and bloodied his mouth up a little bit. But he got his ass right back up and kept fighting. And the touchdown run where that was Fernando Mendoza. Like, I'm making it into the end. It's fourth down. I'm getting in the end zone. And that's exactly what he did. And he dove in there. It crossed the plane. He got hit on the way in there, and he got his ass right back up. And when he did that, I was like, yeah, all right. Enough said. I was wrong. He's the number one pick. He's the number one pick. This kid has guts, man. If for nothing else. And that's why I wanted to see, because if he goes to the Raiders, man, he's going to get his ass kicked for about at least a year, depending on the coach that they get. But the Raiders have a lot of needs, have a lot of holes, and it's not going to be easy for them. Now, they have GT, they have Brock Bowers, they have some young pieces there that, from the skill position that can really help them out. But yeah, the Raiders haven't been good for a long time, and I just worried about him going to the Raiders and being in the NFL. And it's hard for these young guys, and we'll talk about somebody else who had a rough weekend, and we'll get into that in a little bit in the NFL. But Mendoza really proved that there's just a little something there, and he's played his best ball out of the whole entire season was in these college football playoffs. Absolutely. He's played, even that game last night, from a visual standpoint, wasn't the best. But again, for quarterbacks, people love the arm strength, and people love the accuracy, and people love the stats. But quarterbacks, man, it's about making the right plays in the right moments, in the bright lights, in the biggest spots. What do you do to take your team to the next level? And Mendoza showed that if for nothing else, he is going to fight. He's going to put up a fight, and he's going to try to make that play. And I think the Raiders should be very happy. I've did a total 180 on this. I do think they're going to pick him, especially with Dante Moore going back to Oregon. And that's a whole nother saga of college football with Raiola being in, transferring to Oregon. And I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what Dan Lanny's going to do down there in Oregon. But, man, kudos to Mendoza. Carson Beck didn't have a great game, didn't have a terrible game, but he threw a really bad interception at the end of this game. And that sealed the deal. That sealed the deal for Indiana to win and for Miami to lose. But my hat's off to Carson Beck. My hat's off to Miami. They played incredible. Both teams played incredible. And I'll say this, and I can't say anything for the teams, Indiana or Miami, as far as their staying power, because in this world of college football where, coaches move, players move, transfer portal, recruiting's just not the same as it used to be. Like, there's just too much movement in college football to be like, man, this team is going to be – I don't think we'll see that, But, if Cignetti and Cristobal stay at these two schools or wherever they go, they proved without a shadow of a doubt that they are absolutely here to stay as some of the premier coaches in today's college landscape. And I would not be surprised if we see some way, shape, or form of some type of this matchup with these two again next year. Would not be surprised the way they coached. Like Cristobal and his toughness, and Cignetti and his toughness, and what they brought to these teams and what they were able to have them accomplish. Indiana's first football national championship, largely known as a basketball school, is incredible for Curt Cignetti. And what Mario Cristobal did down there in Miami, bringing that vibe back to the youth of the Hurricanes, having Jason Taylor on the staff, having our guy Michael Irvin. He said he said he stopped doing the cane, but I don't know. Maybe he's on the sugar cane. I don't know. But, just having that energy, him bringing that energy back to Miami, bringing that flavor back was incredible. So congratulations to Indiana, who won the national championship 27-21. Incredible. And kudos, man, hats off to Miami, who played lights out. If they played anybody else, they win that game. They just ran into the best team this year. So incredible stuff. It was an amazing game. It might be an instant classic. Especially the second half of that game. Even the first half where there wasn't a lot of points scored. It was like, man, there was some big plays that happened, just weren't getting in the end zone. I was like, yo, we got a game. And then when Miami scored that, I think it was like a 57-yard touchdown to start the second half, I was like, oh, shit. Here we go. Now, let's get into the NFL. And we're going to start off, before we get into the games, we're going to start off with the coaching carousel. Because a lot happened this weekend. A lot. So, first of all, the biggest domino came off the board, and that was John Harbaugh. That was the big six. That was the big six for all my Bones players out there. That was the big six. He had to start the game off, and John Harbaugh was the big six, and he goes to the Giants. And which I am surprised. I thought he would have taken a little bit longer to see what was going to happen maybe through the playoffs. But it must have been a situation where, first of all, they gave him the bag. That's like, let's get that out the way. They gave John Harbaugh the bag. And he must have looked at Jackson Dart and Malik Neighbors coming back next year and possibly Cam Scatterbull, and saw that youth and that talent I said, maybe I can do something here. And so incredible for the Giants, I believe. I think John Harbaugh is a great coach. Like I said before, I thought his voice in Baltimore, as Mike Tomlin's did in Pittsburgh, in different situation with Mike Tomlin actually stepping down. But I just thought John Harbaugh's voice in Baltimore was just a little dull. It was just time for him to move on, Baltimore to move on. And I'm not saying it's going to be a great thing for Baltimore. I'm not sure. We'll see who they hire, because they're still in the hunt for a coach. But John Harbaugh to the Giants just made the Giants that much more better. They were already pretty solid. Like they had a lot of good moments this past year. And, obviously losing one of the better receivers, young receivers in the league, and Cam Scatterbo, who was starting to turn himself into a running back star in the league. And then just the multiple injuries to Jackson Dart, multiple concussion protocols and all of that. So I think that'll probably be number one priority for John Harbaugh is how can we figure this out and keep Jackson Dart healthy and get this offense going, get the defense going. And I think they'll be great, especially inside of that division with, Dallas being Dallas, Washington, and who knows the health of Jaden Daniels and how he's going to be able to bounce back next year. And, Philly has a lot of storylines that they got to go through with A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts and that, Nick Sirianni, and they're trying to get Mike McDaniels as the OC. He doesn't want to take an interview up there. That's a whole nother chapter for a whole nother book. Stefanski signs with the Falcons. Incredible hire to me. I did think that these were the two that these two coaches were going to come off the board first. I thought Harbaugh had to be, once he made his decision, because a lot of people were in the Harbaugh sweepstakes. Stefanski was probably the hottest commodity after that. And so I think really good hire for them. I think he'll have that offense a lot better than it was. We'll see what he's able to do as far as defensive coordinator. They still got to figure out the quarterback situation because, we're not really sure on Penix. Cousins is on the back nine of his career, although he did play well at the end of this year after Penix got hurt. Not great. He played well. So we'll see what Stefanski's able to do. Look, there's a lot of stuff that's been talked about Stefanski with the Poe Browns and Shador Sanders and the quarterback situation. I think the more we're going to learn about that, I'm not all the way sure Stefanski was the biggest culprit of all that, because it is the Browns. But good for Stefanski, good for the Falcons. I think really good hire for them. Now, I had this feeling, and I should have said something on TikTok. I should have said something on the social streets, but I didn't. And that's on me. So I got no receipts for this one. I got no receipts. The only receipts I got is the people I know that are in my personal life that I told while I was watching the games this weekend. But I'm going to let y'all know I did have this feeling that this was going to happen with the Bills, where they fired Sean McDermott. I thought he was going to be, a scapegoat. And because it had been talked about for the last couple of years. There were whispers, especially if they didn't get it done. And they did it. And we'll talk about that game in a bit here. But I had that feeling because the other reason was Brian Daboll's out there, who was the offensive coordinator for the Bills. And quite frankly, early in Josh Allen's career, there were a lot of talks of like, man, is this guy the guy? Are we sure? And Daboll was really, really a key to him becoming one of those, top 2, top 3 quarterbacks in the league. And I was like, man, they could fire McDermott and bring Brian Daboll in. And they have fired Sean McDermott, who will be the next big hire, I believe. I think he should go to the Raiders. I think the Raiders need to send everybody and their mama to Sean McDermott's house. I do think he is a really good coach. Like I just think some of these spots aren't for certain coaches. Andy Reid had a lot of success in Philly, couldn't get over the hump. He goes to Kansas City, boom, they have a dynasty. And there's talks about them hiring, bringing Eric Bieniemy back. So we'll see what happens in Kansas City. But with Sean McDermott being out there, we'll talk about the whole Josh Allen situation in a moment here. I do think a lot of people are thinking it's going to be Joe Brady, who's the offensive coordinator that's there right now. I'm not sure about that. I think they go get Brian Daboll just because he's already had head coaching experience. You can bring him in. He understands the building. He understands the crew, the team. And I think it'll be a great hire for the Bills, quite frankly. And I think Daboll would have success there. I mean, he had a little bit of success in New York. Just, the Giants are the Giants and have been the Giants for quite a while now. So, quickly, Miami Dolphins hire Packers defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley. Okay, sure, let them tell it. We'll see. I have no faith in the Dolphins. Lions hire former Cardinals offensive coordinator Drew Petzing for that same role. So he will take over play calling duties for the offense in Detroit. We'll see how that goes. I thought they should have made a really big run at Mike McDaniel, but he might be getting an OC job somewhere else. Or he might even look to maybe the Cardinals. We'll see. If I'm the Cardinals, I might go look at Mike McDaniel and be like, hey, man, bring that crazy shit down here. Now, we know what the Cardinals are going to do. They're going to hire somebody that we kind of heard of. They're going to do the Miami Dolphins thing like, oh, okay. Didn't really hear about him, but all right, cool. And then Robert Saleh, man, to the Titans. Okay. I'm going to get into this Robert Saleh to the Titans thing. John Harbaugh to the Giants, incredible. Now, I think John Harbaugh might have wanted to wait for a little bit. Maybe that Bills position would have been a little bit better for him. But, great for the Giants, great for John Harbaugh. Stefanski to the Falcons, great. We'll see about the whole Bills situation. I don't know why Robert Saleh took this goddamn job. Outside of Cam Ward, I just didn't think he would want to go to another organization that, like, he just did this with New York. He just did this with New York Jets not too long ago. And we know the Browns, there's a couple of them teams, man, organizationally that just aren't good. And the Titans need a lot of help. They've got some good defensive players, young guys, some really good young guys on that defense. But that offense needs a shit ton of help. Now, Cam Ward, I think, is going to be good. I liked him in college. I liked him going back to Washington State before he was with Miami. I liked him going back to Washington State, and I was hoping when he transferred he went to USC. I was praying he went to USC, but he didn't. He went to Miami, and that story has already been written. But, man, I guess Robert Saleh wanted another head coaching job. And he looked at this as his opportunity. Man, I would have stayed in San Francisco if I was him and waited another year. But I don't know. Maybe the bag, maybe the opportunity was just too big for him to pass up. I just think it's, I get you get the quarterback. You get the young quarterback, which you didn't really have in New York. But I don't know. It's still Tennessee, bro. I don't trust it. So, congratulations to Robert Saleh. I think the Titans got a good head coach in Robert Saleh. I just don't trust Tennessee's organization to make the right decisions, to get the right players for Robert Saleh to be successful. So, hopefully they gave him some type of years guarantee, something in his contract where it's like, hey, man, if you struggle for the first couple years, we get it. We're rebuilding. We'll figure it out. And, this division that we're in is kind of in turmoil right now. So we think we'll be fine in the next couple of years. We just need you to start getting the pieces and start putting a plan together. And hopefully they give Robert Saleh time to really get this thing back on the right tracks, because I do think he's a really good coach. We'll see about head coach. This is his second opportunity. Again, the Jets are contagious in a bad way. All right, let's get into the playoff games, man. Let's get into the divisional round that was a little ebb and flow as far as the actual games. And we'll start off with the Broncos versus the Bills. Holy turnovers. OT win for the Broncos, 33-30. Incredible game. We're gonna talk about the injury. We'll get to that in a moment. But man, turnovers McGee in this game. It was turnovers McGee in this game. Nix had some really good throws. Bo Nix had some really good throws, especially towards the end of the game, which he typically does. Bill's run game was good, but they couldn't really get Cook going all the way. It had moments, it had splashes, but it was really stagnant. Broncos defense played well. And look, I get that they gave up points, but this is a really close game in the first half, which I think we all kind of expected. That's the way these teams play. And then second half, it just gets into a shootout. That's the way these teams play. But there were some really good turnovers. Josh Allen had a terrible fumble at the end of this game. He had a turnover in overtime as well. But that one, like the fumble in that I think it was the fourth quarter, was egregious. Like, it was wild. Like, I was like, what the hell are you doing? He holding the ball just like willy-nilly out there in the streets. And threw it like back towards the line. He had a great run and then fumbled it terrible. And it just, I don't know, man. And I think, he was crying after this game. He was crying after the game at the press conference at the podium. And I said there, I was like, man, yep, McDermott's gone. But it seemed to me that was tears of like, I ain't never winning a Super Bowl. That's what it felt like to me. It felt like Josh Allen was like, God, it ain't never, I'm going to be really good and I'm going to get us to the playoffs, but I ain't never getting there, man. I might not even get there. That's what it felt like. And that might be. It might just be the Bills are cursed. It might just be Josh Allen makes boneheaded mistakes in the ends of these games. Now, not always his fault. There was some stuff last year where guys drop ball, stuff like that. But this game in particular, I mean, 2 bad turnovers at the end of the game. And I think that Josh Allen, he might have this feeling of like, man, I ain't never getting there. And man, it's a whole bunch of young cats coming up in this NFL, and they look really good, and they look like they're here to stay. Now, the weird thing about I want to talk about this Bo Nix injury, because I ain't sold, bro. I'm not sold. Now, after the game, Sean Payton has the press conference at the podium, all that good stuff, leaves, goes to the locker room, comes back. He's like, hey, man, everybody pull back up. I got to tell y'all something. Hey, man, Sean Payton, what's going on? Man, Bo Nix is done. Huh? What Bo Nix? What Bo Nix are you talking about, Sean Payton? Bo Nix, the quarterback for us, for the Denver Broncos, he's done. Ankle injury, fractured. He's out for the playoffs. He's out for the rest of the season. Sir, are you talking about Bo Nix? Yeah, I told you it was Bo Nix. We going to have to play Jarrett Stidham, and I think Jarrett Stidham's going to be really good. Hold on, back all the shit up. Back it up. What the hell is you talking about, Sean Payton? Yeah, man, it happened on the 3rd of the 2nd of the 1st of the last, but what? So I think all of us were like, what? Wait. So you're telling me that the Denver Broncos just beat Josh Allen and the Bills in an incredible overtime game. Bo Nix was just on the field having a conversation, talking about, yeah, man, I'm excited for the next couple of games, make a push to get to the championship. We got a really tough opponent next week. And I'm really excited to see who's going to win, whether it be the Texans or the Patriots, which we'll talk about that in a minute. And I think we have a chance to get to the Super Bowl. Within 20 minutes, Bo Nix is done for the season. And they're like, well, it was on this play. I heard some people say it was on this play. And then other people said it was on the throw down the field that ended up being to Marvin Mims, that ended up being a defensive pass interference that set them up to take the kneel down and kick the game-winning field goal in overtime. Then some people were saying it was on the kneel down, which on the kneel down he did kind of get up a little gingerly, but he was still walking fine. And that's not to say that none of what they're saying is not true. It might all be true. I'm not sure. But I heard little birdie in the streets, and I'm not sure because you can't trust the internet. Can't trust the internet. But that he heard it celebrating in the locker room, which seems a little bit more believable, especially with Sean Payton having the press conference at the podium, leaving, going to the locker room, coming back, being like, hey, pull up, I got to let y'all know something, some crazy news. And you're like, wait a minute, you was just here. What the hell happened within the last 5 minutes that you got to tell us something again? And Bo Nix was probably in there with the cleats on, man, let's go. Shit. Sean Payton, what the fuck happened, man? I'm out there talking to people. What the fuck happened? So I don't know. It might have been on one of those football plays. But man, if that is the case, then Bo Nix, it really is a tough SOB. But even the way that like the news articles came out about this, ESPN, New York Times, I believe, CBS, they were all very similar of like, man, Bo Nix is one tough SOB, man. He was walking around, we couldn't even tell his ankle was hurt. Every single article was damn near the same. And I'm like, damn, that sound real PR-ish. That sound like somebody was like, hey, man, I'm not going to tell y'all what happened, but I'm going to tell y'all what to tell the people what happened. That sound like what had happened was. The way all these stories and articles were all the same. Because I woke up the next morning, I'm like, hold on, man. Are we sure Bo Nix hurt himself on any one of those plays? And I went back and looked, and I was like, okay, maybe the kneel down, maybe. I was trying to be Pablo Torre finds out. I was like, I need to get to the bottom of this. And I don't know. I'm just saying, and we know this ain't the first time Sean Payton has lied about some shit that happened to the team. I don't know, remember Bounty Gate. He's paying people to damn near kill people on the field. But I'm just saying, some ain't adding up. Something is not adding up about this Bo Nix injury. I might be wrong. They might be telling the truth. I'm just saying. Broncos fans, I feel bad for you, and it makes Josh Allen losing this game even more just like, damn, it's all crazy. So, because I really thought Denver with Bo Nix had a real shot at beating either one of these teams. You know, you can never say never, but you know, I don't know about Jarrett Stidham. We'll see. All right, let's get into the Hawks versus the 49ers. We're going to get through this quick. I thought this was going to be a close game. I did have the Seahawks winning. Damn, was I wrong about it being a close game. 41-6, they blew the doors off the 49ers. The Seahawks came out, they out the gate, kickoff return from Shaheed. They was like, yeah, man, all that talk about the Niners doing this and that, I got some primos. I got some primos. I got some, some relatives. I got some people out there that was like, man, bang, bang, Niner gang. And I was like, all right, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, man, the injury bug is going to catch up at some point. And it did. That Hawks defense, man. That Hawks defense is, the Seahawks right now are the most complete team. They are the most complete. They are the best team in the playoffs right now. Defense, offense. It's just if they have to stay consistent, especially offensively. Kenneth Walker went the hell off in this game, and that's always the difference for them. If they can get the run game going, now Charbonnet got hurt; he's out for the rest of the playoffs, rest of the season. And so, but he's been up and down. Kenneth Walker's been like when Kenneth Walker when he can go off, he's been a real difference maker for them throughout the season and throughout the playoffs. And if they can keep that run game consistent, limit Darnold's throws as far as quantity, and make the throws more quality when they need them to, and just get them to JSN and get them to the tight ends. I think the Seahawks are the most complete team that's left. But we're still not sure about it, about their offense. So, and even when they play bad this year, they still been like Darnold's had bad games where he's thrown 2, 3, 4 turnovers, and they've still, either lost by a couple of points or they won. So it's not necessarily a terrible thing. You just would hope that if you're a Seahawks fan, or if you're the Seahawks, that, man, our defense is really good. We just hope our offense gets going, and we'll get into that in just a moment for another team. Now I don't know if the Darnold conversation is over, but I just know that I've seen this guy 2 years in a row, play really well, had moments at the end of these years, but was pretty good in that game against the 49ers. I think the conversation needs to be over. Nobody's saying he's top 5 or whatever, like wherever you want to place him, but he is damn sure right now in his career a really good starter in this league. And there's only 32 of them. So I think the conversation needs to be over. If not, y'all let me know when that conversation is over, or what the actual conversation is. But I think the conversation over, Sam Darnold being a good or a bad quarterback, I think should be over. I think he's a good quarterback. Like I said, I'm not saying elite. There's only a few of those guys in the league. But I think he's really good. And he's damn sure a starter in this league. Now, let's get into somebody, man, who had a atrocious game yesterday. And I'm not here to pile on, but Patriots versus Texans in what was probably aesthetically the worst game of the weekend. It was just a bad game to watch. I mean, if you love defense and you love turnovers, I guess, if you like to go to the bakery, because, man, it was some turnovers up in this piece. And Patriots won 28-16. This was a lot closer of a game. Start off with the Texans defense, man. That Texans defense, I feel bad for y'all for how this offense played. And let's just address it. CJ Stroud had a bad game. Now, Drake May had a couple of turnovers as well. And I think the Patriots defense is better than we're giving them credit for. But I'm going to say this about CJ Stroud, because I think everybody was jumping off the cliff yesterday, today, the last couple. Man, we got to get rid of CJ. Get him the fuck out of here. Hold on, man. Hold on. Should he have been benched that game? Maybe. But I want to talk about the 4 turnovers the 4 interceptions that were all in the first half. The first and the third interception were really bad. The first one, he's getting pressure. most likely going to get sacked. He throws the ball in the air. Just like if you're going to throw it away, throw it the hell away. Throw it out of bounds. Bad throw. It gets picked off. Bad interception. The third interception, out route. He throws it behind the guy. Patriots intercepted. Bad interception. The second interception, he throws it. It hits the guy's hands. Bounces off the guy's hands. Patriots intercepted. Now, I've been saying this for about 5 years privately through, just when we're sitting around watching sports with the buddies and all that stuff. But I believe that receivers need to start getting charged with half interceptions. If you have an opportunity to catch the ball and it hits your hands, was it a perfect throw by CJ? No. But it wasn't a terrible throw. It was a catchable ball. If you go to catch it, it bounces off your hands. You're the one that tips it in the air and the other team gets it. You got to get charged for half an interception. I'm serious. I think they should get charged for half an interception sometimes. Now, the fourth interception, he throws it into traffic, and it's probably not the best throw. But guy goes to body catch it. It bounces off of him. They pick it off. So if you want to count that one as a bad one, maybe. I think the first and the third interception are his most egregious of the game. Didn't have a turnover in the second half. But I also want to say this about the whole conversation about C.J. Stroud. First of all, he's in his third year, so I think we should relax. He was also injured for some of this year. His throwing hand was evidently hurt. They had some tape on it, and you could see early that it was bothering him. Now, I do think the interceptions got to him early. Like you could see he was visibly kind of out of sorts, and maybe that's when you bench him inside of this game. But the overall conversation of getting rid of C.J. Stroud, I think, is a little premature. First of all, he's young. He's in his third year. Second of all, he's been to the playoffs all 3 years. Third of all, he had a really good rookie year, and I know the last 2 years he hasn't really progressed the way you want to, but he had a different offensive coordinator. And I've been saying all year, I don't think this offensive coordinator is that good. Like he doesn't call a consistent game. He dropped back and he threw the ball 47 times. That's not CJ Stroud. That's you calling 47 fucking pass plays for a guy that just threw 4 interceptions in the first half. All 4 of them on 1st and 10, I believe. That's the OC calling 47 fucking pass plays. Now, Woody Marks couldn't get going. They had injuries on a line that was already struggling all year. But he's dropping straight back. You're not moving the pocket for him. You're running Woody Marks on inside runs when Nick Chubb had a couple of runs, man, where he was just like that. You got Nick Chubb for that reason. Run him inside. Woody Marks couldn't really get it going. Again, I have not liked the way that this OC has called a lot of the plays this year. And I watched a lot of Texans football because I love that defense. So I've been able to see, like, I think if they would have had Davis Mills in there, the game would have been called completely different. And maybe that's the thing. Like, these offensive coordinators, they get so enamored with quarterbacks, especially when they're starters. And the fact that C.J. Stroud dropped back 47 fucking times in a game that was really close and winnable, to me, for a guy that was having a bad game and evidently having a bad game, you have to call a better game to get his ass out the funk. Get him out the fog. Set up some easier shit for him. Set up some play actions. But so many times he was dropping straight back on a line that had injuries for that game that wasn't really good for the whole year anyway. They were up and down. And you just were like, yeah, man, stay in the pocket and get killed. He was getting pressure all night from that Patriots defense. So all I'm saying is he had a horrendous game. And I'm not going to disagree with nobody on that. And if you're saying you're not sure about C.J. Stroud because of the last couple of years, he just hasn't progressed, then I get that. I can say, okay, cool. You're not sure. We're not sure on him. Like, he had a really good rookie year. Maybe that was an anomaly. But I think we need to calm down on the like kick him out the building shit when he's in his third year. And the guy that he had success with hasn't been there the last couple of years. It's been this guy who to me, I'm just saying from the outside looking in, I might be wrong. Somebody that's way smarter than me. That's why I call it yo no say nada, because I'd be talking about sports. I probably don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But I'm just saying, let hold on, man. Wait. All right, let's get into the Bears versus the Rams. Oh man. I thought this was going to be a higher scoring game. But it essentially happened a lot of the ways that I think a lot of us thought. Now, well, so the Rams normally they go crazy on offense early, and they didn't. So this 2017 Rams overtime win, and both defenses looked really good this game for the Bears and for the Rams. Cold weather game, so there was a lot of conversation about how Stafford were looking. Everybody was like, well, he played in Detroit. I'm like, Dome. They played in Dome. It ain't the same. It was cold. It was cold down there in Chi-Town. And Stafford has not looked great over the past 5 weeks. Let's just call it what it is. Like, Puka Nacua has been saving his ass quite a few times. And Kyron Williams saved his ass in this game. But Caleb Williams, man, at the end of this game, that fourth quarter throw to tie the game, God damn. You know, it's just to the point with Caleb Williams that he's going to make a throw at the end of these games, and we don't even know where the receiver's at. We just like, yep, it's a touchdown. 2 weeks in a row, just what? Like, it left his hands, and then you're like, oh, yeah. I don't even know who's over there. We'll wait till the camera pans and lets us know who's in the vicinity, and it's probably going to be a completion or a touchdown. And Caleb still misses some throws that are layups, but it's really hard to do the crazy shit in the NFL at the quarterback position. And I think he's just gotten better. Didn't take a sack this game. I think that the easier stuff, the layups with Ben Johnson, he'll just get better. This is his second year. Like, again, everybody was ready to throw Caleb Williams to the Wolves after last year, rookie year, in which he wasn't terrible. It just, offensive scheme. We see now with a better offensive-minded coach and Ben Johnson, more stability, better energy in the locker room, how much better Caleb's gotten throughout the year, man. He is special. And he threw an interception in overtime that at first glance you're like, man, he underthrew that. And then you go back and watch that play. And he said, hey, man, miscommunication on my part. I thought, DJ Moore was going to be here. He saw it this way, ended up being here. But, man, there's something going on between those two. And I think anybody who's been watching the Bears over the last couple of years has seen it. DJ Moore does not like Caleb Williams. It's evident. And he just flat out first of all, he gave up and then he ran the wrong way. Like, anybody go back and watch that overtime interception by Caleb Williams. He threw it to the right spot. DJ Moore quit and then ran the wrong way. And this is the thing, like, I'm not sure about these, like, big-time number one receivers. He's a number one. He's like, I'm not sure, bro, because I think, like, the Puka Nacuas and the JSNs and the Amon-Ra St. Browns, who are number one receivers but can kind of do a little bit of everything. Like, DJ Moore, man, his attitude, they got a bunch of young talent. Loveland, Manungai, a bunch of, just a Dunze who was injured for a part of this year, in and out of the lineup with injuries. They got a bunch of young talent on the outside. Cole Kmet, they've got some dudes down there in Chicago offensively. I'd be perfectly okay with letting go of DJ Moore. Send him somewhere else. Because there's obviously something between those two, and you can't be the best. This game was winnable. When Caleb Williams threw that touchdown to tie the game up to go to overtime, I think damn near everybody was like, yeah, shit, here they go again. If you're a Bears fan, you were like, hell yeah, here we go again. If you were a Rams fan, you're like, oh shit, man, here he goes again. This motherfucker. And shit, man, if DJ Moore runs to the right spot, we might be having a different conversation about that game. But that turnover set it up for the Rams, who just needed to score. They kicked the field goal. They won. If you're the Bears, look, we'll get into my takeaways from the weekend, from the NFL weekend. My biggest takeaways are, first of all, Caleb and Drake May are here to stay. Second-year players, really, really good second years. I think they both have the coaches. I think they both have the structure. And so if you're a fan of the Bears, if you're a fan of the Patriots, if you hate the Patriots because of what they've been for the last 20-some-odd years, and you're going to hate them for another 10 because, man, they got the coach, they got the quarterback, they've got the talent, and honestly, they're probably about 2 to 3 years too early, honestly. Same thing with Chicago. I think Chicago's about 2 years too early, just in the overall sense. And they're already where they are. So if you're the Bears and you're the Patriots, man, Caleb Williams, Drake May, barring anything crazy happening, they're going to be here to stay. Caleb's got his coach. Bears have their coach. And whatever stadium issue is going on down there in Chicago, y'all got to figure it out because y'all finally got the coach and the quarterback. Both of these guys should, I'm not saying will because it's the NFL, should win a championship within the next 10 years, at least one. Caleb Williams and Drake May. The structure is there for both of these teams. I had written down I thought Allen needed to change the scenery or coaching, and with that, they gave me that answer. So we'll see what happens with Josh Allen and the Bills. Do they hire Brian Daboll? Do they have bring somebody back into the building? Or is it Joe Brady? We'll see. I think the Rams will probably have a new quarterback next year. It looks like Stafford is feeling every bit of that 40 years old that he's going to be. And he's just really regressed over the last few weeks. And I just think it's just age. He is an older quarterback, but I do believe that they have a chance to go to the Super Bowl. And we'll get into my predictions in a moment. Like I said, the Hawks are the most complete, but not the most consistent. So if they can stay consistent, I think they're the best team in the playoffs still. The Broncos will be fine. I want to know, I need some answers, and maybe I already got the answers, and I just don't want to believe them right now, but I need some confirmation about what happened with this Bo Nix injury. But they'll be fine down the road. I think the Texans will be fine if they can figure out the line situation. Look, man, they let some guys go. Like they had guys there that they let go on the offensive line. So I think they'll be fine. I think CJ Stroud will be fine. I think they need to get a new offensive coordinator. There are a bunch of them out right now. There's some good offensive guys that are out there on the market. Go find one. Maybe Mike McDaniels. Who knows? And the 49ers, I think the 49ers will be fine, but have question marks. They're always injury prone. We got to see where that goes. And they have guys that are getting older. Trent Williams, George Kittle. Christian McCaffrey's been in the league for a minute now. Brock Purdy's one of their younger pieces. So how do they retool And the 49ers always feel like they have a really good year, and then they kind of have like a year, not bad, but not great. Or they kind of figure some stuff out, and then the next year they're really good. So we'll see how they fare out this next season, but they'll be fine in the long run. They're a good organization, and they always figure out how to be at least in the thick of things every couple of years. Let's get into the conference championship predictions. And we've got the Seahawks versus the Rams in another divisional matchup. Incredible. I'm excited for this one. And this game is 1-1 this year in the series. So for the third time, the Rams won the first one. Seahawks won the second one. Both games were really close. Give me the Seahawks. I know I said I had the Rams, and I'm going against my early prediction this year. And I had to fight. I really had to fight on this one. I really had to fight because I'm just not sure. But the Seahawks are the better team. After what I just saw, Seahawks are the better team. Give me the Seahawks 28-21 against the Rams. I think it'll still be a close game because that's what we've seen this year from these two teams playing each other. Give me the Seahawks 28-21. Patriots versus Broncos. Without Bo Nix, I think the Broncos defense can play well maybe in the first half, but I do believe, and it's in New England. Give me the Pats, give me the Patriots 32-15. They might even score more than that. Just saying. Just because I feel like they're going to get a couple more opportunities on offense. Without Bo Nix at the helm for the rest of the playoffs, or shit, maybe just for this game. I do believe the Patriots are going to win this one pretty convincingly. So give me the Patriots 32-15. I would not be surprised if they hang a 40 spot on them. This is no disrespect to Denver, man. No disrespect. I just think they're going to have more opportunities with Bo Nix being out. This was a really tough game if Bo Nix is in there, but he's not. So I need answers. I'm going to table this. I had something about the young quarterbacks, and I think we'll have that conversation for another day. But I do want to say, man, they are here to stay. These young, we're seeing the changing of the guard in the NFL when it comes to these quarterbacks. And I am super excited, man. I'm super excited. If Washington can figure it out with Jaden Daniels and keep his ass upright, with Caleb Williams, with Drake May, we'll see what Cam Ward does. We'll see what Jackson Dart does. If they can keep them upright, get the support system. Fernando Mendoza coming into the league, we'll see what happens there. But this new wave of quarterbacks, these new guys, man, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, you guys are like in the mid part of it. You're still young, but I'm talking about these new guys. I'll be worried, man. I'll be worried because, man, they are here to stay, man. They got Bo Nix, hopefully he can bounce back and have another good year. These young boys are here to stay when it comes to the quarterback position in the NFL, man. Balling. Damn. Balling. It would have been nice to get a Patriots, Bears, just to see the two young quarterbacks. But I do think it's going to be Patriots versus the Hawks. So we'll see. We'll see. I might be wrong. We might get the Rams versus the Patriots. The Broncos might pull off a stunt. And if they do, man, incredible. But like I said at the beginning of the show, the other segments will be moved to different days so I can talk again more into depth on some of the movies and the shows and the music. We got J. Cole coming out in a couple weeks. I want to go back into time and go through some fire R&B and hip hop that I used to listen to that's still part of my playlist to this day. To this day. And so look out for What You Heard Wednesdays. Look out for Turn the TV Off. I'm thinking Fridays, Turn the TV Off Fridays, but maybe Thursdays. And I can spread them apart, pause. Spread the segments apart, pause. But I appreciate you guys tapping in, tuning in for another week. You guys have a fantastic week. And make sure you guys subscribe, like, comment, share, tell the people to tell the people. Make sure you hit that link tree. Pull up on my socials, man. I'll be having conversations with the people, especially on TikTok. They love to comment on TikTok, and I love to comment back. Now, you come in there with that bullshit or you come in there with that racist shit, your ass is getting blocked like a Lego, straight up and down. I'll block your ass. Dikembe Mutombo finger wave, get the fuck out of here. The fuck out of here. But make sure you pull up on my socials, hit that link tree. If you can't watch this, then y'all know, go hit your favorite audio podcast sharing platform, iHeart, Google Play, all of them. I'm on all of them. Spotify, Apple Podcast, I'm on them. I'm there. I'm not there, let me know. I'm pulling up. Make sure you guys tell a friend to tell their cousin, their grandma, their mom, and you. Pull up on the A Ward show, you know what I mean? And I'll see you jive turkeys next week.